K-pop demon hunters Saja Boy's breakfast meal and Huntrix meal have just dropped at McDonald's. They're calling this a battle for the fans. What do you say to that, Rumi?
It's not a battle. So glad the Saja Boys could take breakfast and give our meal the rest of the day.
It is an honor to share.
No, it's our honor.
It is our larger honor.
No, really. Stop.
You can really feel the respect in this battle. Pick a meal to pick a side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
Most energy drinks taste like a dare you lost. Bucked Up actually fixed that. It's genuinely delicious, science-backed, clean energy without the garbage. But Bucked Up didn't stop at energy drinks. Their lightly carbonated protein drinks deliver 25 grams of protein per can. Clear protein, not milky or thick. And yes, it's insanely delicious. Bucked Up is giving away an island vacation. No purchase necessary. Ends May 30th, 2026. See buckedupenergy.com for details and where you can also find the store nearest you. Get bucked up and feel like $1,000,000.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
DeMaurice Smith is going to join us here in studio. And Chris Cote, I'm going to have to ask you to dress in something more respectable when this power broker comes in here.
Let's all do that.
I cannot.
More respectful.
We have to change our clothing and not have you be dressed as a cowboy. You really feel comfortable enough to do that
I do feel
right
comfortable
now?
enough. I feel comfortable.
I've had a great show today.
So is Joey.
And tonight there'll be more slurring.
For sure.
Tonight at 6:30, as we televise, it's weird. It's a live stream, and while we are, I think you sense perhaps a little scared smile in the idea of the end of times at 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's only because our lying criminal president has put us in a position where this is now his fifth threat of this kind. But now there's a doomsday deadline of 8 p.m. on a war that he's not saying is a war, that they're already obliterated, even though we have danger and risk. Heroic soldier human life. Some military members who, he has been really disrespectful of in all the reporting of what the military is supposed to represent will now be put into a position whether they will have to choose whether to commit war crimes because they've been ordered to do so, or not commit war crimes because we've got a Looney Tunes president who's totally out of control, who wants to be the king of the country. And also the Heat, the Panthers, and the Marlins play tonight, and we will be watching all of the games. Before I get to Tony, and he wants to steal Greg Cody's Back in My Day, modernize it a little bit, and bring it back, Jack. Do a better version of Back in My Day, because your dad doesn't do it every week, and Damashek has now Back in My Dave, and Tony's a hustler, and he wants to bring it back, Jack. Before I do that, it's been interesting to watch in golf, right, where you only have the stories of it's always Tiger Woods, and now you don't have a whole lot of other storylines. But Rory McIlroy at the Masters is still one. And the tabloids digging around in his personal life and the country club gathering around and being like, no, that's bullshit. Like, we've seen what Murdoch News does and how dirty all of this money is in media. You're not going to do this to Rory McIlroy because whatever. He had something in his family life that may have been some version that could be judged immoral.
So the Daily Mail posted a story that they were very clearly holding until Masters Week, and it's not just a country club. Joe Sports Fan is on Rory's side here.
Is the Daily Mail reputable?
Sometimes they break stories, sometimes they're a tabloid rag. They're based out of the UK. Rules are a little different there.
They're stricter, no?
It is stricter, but they can also take some liberties with headlines. But libel is a big deal there. I remember from working at my time with Chelsea that it's FAFO kind of rules over there because they really get punished if they run with something false.
You know about that, FAFO?
Do you know that about that working with Chelsea? Because he dropped that in there, and he does know something about the sort of the way corporate entities can get their hands and fingerprints on things you're trying to make.
Right. So if someone has, if there's an athlete out there that gets arrested on some kind of accusation, it's deeply irresponsible over in the UK to post that person's name.
We should have that.
where you can't run with the person's name. So there's different rules over there. But the Daily Mail story that they're running is Rory and his wife filed for divorce in 2024. A month later, they reconciled, citing family, wanting to be there for their kids. The Daily Mail story doesn't just dive deep into that, raising all sorts of accusations and cheating allegations. They go way further into the past in 2012, and a lot of unconfirmed dalliances, some that were straight up denied, are invoked in the story. It's an ugly story. The intention is to grift off of the defending Master champion's name during Masters week.
Successfully, though, right? Though with details that people
It's salacious.
The Murdochs built the entirety of their empire upon the phone hacking information that people wanted. You know how hard it is and competitive it is to go to the top of the media game? Breaking stories? Like, they were doing all sorts of bullshit, the Murdochs were.
But no one's really considering this as breaking any kind of story. It's not a story that people want to know. The family is very clearly moved on. Decided to reconcile.
I disagree, though.
Let me tell you how it's being received. Very poorly. There aren't really many people that follow that sport in particular that are interested in this. And what's ended up happening is a lot of people have seen this story and said, bleep you, Daily Mail.
Public or contemporaries?
Contemporaries. And like from what I've seen, like golf fans, Rory's very popular. They see this as a BS story that is just going through some bad moments. The family has tried to turn the page, and you're holding this specifically on the eve of him hosting his Champions Dinner to try to affect him and grift off his name. The timing of it is terrible. And the reporting on it is flimsy conjecture and just rumor mongering. And it's really actually encouraging to see generally sports fans say, get this out of here. What are you doing? This is ugly. This is so not necessary, and you're going out of your way to do it right now to this family when it should be a joyous time.
I don't see a lot of examples, though, Zaz, on what Mike is saying, where, I mean, so much of the sports story is cartoonish sports parable. McIlroy's a champion in a sport where we have very few stars, and usually it's been a universal truth the entirety of my career that people want dirt. That whatever gossip, like the internet is born on the idea of give me the unconfirmed stuff on Rory McIlroy or any other secret that can be talked about more privately in the internet where there are no rules in the comment section. Like, my entire lifetime, people have wanted the dirt, whether a guy's a champion or popular or not. Like, what happened to his marriage? That's a curiosity many people feel entitled to, no matter how ugly you think it is. Like, the sports media can feed off of that, and people will turn off on the sports media because the media feeds off of that.
I think where people tune out on that is what happened in the marriage. I mean, they very clearly decided against divorcing one another and fighting for their family. Yeah. So bringing it up.
I mean, is there something actually salacious from the breakup, or it's just like it's a regular, hey, we don't know if we love each other anymore kind of deal?
They go back into the year 2012 to dig up like rumors of him with there was a golf reporter that was mentioned. It's just,
I don't know who gives a shit.
Let's just drag your name through the mud and bring up every rumor that's associated with it. And even if it were true, and this is where most sports fans are, we don't care if it's true. The man and wife in this equation decided that they were going to overcome all of that, stay together for the kids, and decide that this was a new chapter in their life. And you're trying to capitalize on the week that he is returning as defending champion. You held on to this story because all this stuff has been out there. You held on to this story to hurt the man and get as many clicks as you possibly could during Masters week. F you. We know that this is ugly.
But it'll also be rewarded, and I assume that the British tabloids feed off of infidelity in a way that makes human beings less than human, families less than human, kids less than human, correct? Don't care how this affects the kids of a champion. He cheated on his wife, blah, 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 allow me to morally cluck, or she cheated on him, blah, blah, blah. I thought infidelity, I feel like Britain's sort of 20 years behind here, wherever it is that the royals reside on scandal. No? I
think most people don't care, especially when the two parties have decided whatever that was at the heart of the matter is something that they can overcome and try to move on together. And I think at that point, everybody should kind of respect that.
That's the dirty part is, all right, they're together. Are you trying to break them up? Because breaking up a marriage, like, that's not good for anyone.
But it is interesting, though, that I've always found that whether it's British or otherwise, gossip about champions is something that people want. Whatever the gossip is.
This was so clearly a coordinated effort to do it on this week, to use his name for stuff that has been out there, right? They could have done this in the moment in 2024 when these divorce proceedings were just about to get started, and then a month later they decided not to. It's just salacious tabloid garbage, and the Daily Mail does do some of that. They also do some stuff that makes you think, like, maybe they're not so bad. There seems to be some efforting here for journalism a little bit. Not everything is hogwash, and I'm not even saying that this story is untrue. It's just mining the dirt, and it's ugly, and I think most people have received it that way.
Chris Cote, have we gotten anything better? He just mentioned hogwash. David Sampson does need a better catchphrase. It's just time for him to upgrade his game.
I actually agree with David, though. Like, horse hockey, if you say to me, anyone in our world, what do they say? Like, give me their catchphrases. He's got a couple.
Yeah, that's how I think.
Horse hockey's strong.
Okay, so you don't think he can do better than horse hockey? Give me a break. That's the best he can do. That's the height. That is the height of entertainment. Okay, I think Bring It Back Jack might be the height of entertainment.
Get the music for me. Dan, there's too many distracted drivers out there. You know what I'd like to do? I like to play a game called Honk. And what I do is when I see somebody on the drive, I'm on the 836, and they're on their phone while we're driving, going 70 miles an hour, I'll give them a little honk, just kind of wake them up a little bit. Hey, oh, what happened? And then I'll give them one of these. I'll point, do the Robert De Niro 2 fingers to my eyes, and then look at the road. Hey, look at the road. Look at the road. So what I see is that I find myself honking a lot on the expressways.
Do you have levels to your honk?
It's just a quick bam. Just so they're like, oh, whoa, what happened?
There's the laying on the horn.
No, I don't lay on the horn. It's just like a quick.
I usually go double tap.
Depends on the circumstance.
What if someone's texting? Do you do
somebody's
any of that?
texting, somebody's on
double
IG,
tap.
doing something, I hit them with a bam.
How do you know if they're on IG?
I don't care what they're doing. They're on their phone.
But you said they're texting or they're on IG.
Yeah,
how do you know they're on IG?
Because people are on IG 24/7. Yeah,
Well, what if they're on Apple Maps?
They could be, but hey, put it somewhere where I can see it, and you can see the road. So with all that, I started thinking about it. I was like, you know what? What can we do to get people to stop looking at their phones while driving and look up and focus on the road ahead? Toll booth baskets. Bring them back, Jack. All of a sudden, you're driving through. Some pass is taking $1,000 every time you drive through something. But if you're driving through a specific lane and you got to make sure, oh, I got to get a quarter. I got to get ready. I got to get my stuff. Then you're not focused on your phone. You're focused on the tiny toll booth in front of you that you got to get the quarter, and you got to make sure you throw it right into the basket, because if you miss, they won't let you go through. And if you don't have a quarter, you're done. Bring it back, Jack. Toll booth baskets.
There's always that shift after college hoops ends where you think things are going to slow down, and instead, it's just different sports pulling you in. Now it's baseball every night. You swear you're only half watching, and then suddenly you're locked into the 7th inning. Then you flip over. It's the Cars making left turns for 3 hours, and somehow you're locked in. This was me actually the other night. I told myself I'd just stay home, keep it casual. Then my buddy College Mike texted me, hey, come through. We've got everything on. And I said, yeah. I picked up a pack of Miller Lite on the way. The next thing you know, we've got multiple screens going. Everybody's locked in on something different. And the whole night just builds and builds to one of those moments where you take a sip, you look around, and you realize, yeah, this was the right call. Cheers to legendary moments with Miller Lite. Great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. Hey, Roy, buddy.
Yo.
You know that energy shift when the game gets good and everybody, all together, in unison, knows to stand up on their feet?
Oh, absolutely, Mike.
Yeah, you've been at many big-time sporting events. You know that moment quite well. That's what it's like when you take your first sip of Cuervo.
Oh, delicious.
It's the signal that says, we're not checking the time anymore, pal. It's when small talk turns into stories. Cuervo, man, it's that high-five a random stranger effect. That's right. The game is popping. You're hugging people you never met before. That's the kind of energy that Cuervo brings. It's so smooth, so delicious. That's the Cuervo effect. Keep it Cuervo.
And sports championships aren't won alone. They're won with the right people around you. That's exactly what Intuit TurboTax brings to taxes. With TurboTax Expert Full Service, match with a dedicated tax expert who handles your taxes from start to finish. The experience is seamless. Start in person, finish online, move between both whenever needed. The dedicated tax expert keeps things updated every step of the way so nothing falls between the cracks. Think of it like having a great head coach with a solid game plan. The plays are called, adjustments are made, and the work gets done while everyone stays focused on what actually matters. And just like game film doesn't wait for business hours, neither do taxes. With TurboTax Expert Full Service, you can get any tax question answered at no extra cost, even on nights and weekends during tax season. This is having someone in your corner running the whole operation and helping put points on the board. Get started at TurboTax.com. Only available with Intuit TurboTax Full Service experts. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app.
Dan Le Batard. Football. Football.
Football.
Football.
Football. Football.
Stugotz. This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Look at this. We've got a reformed and retired power broker here with us. DeMaurice Smith, his book is Turf Wars. We've talked to him about it before, but I've got 1,000 questions. Good to see you. Any advice for the new young guy, AC Treader? Any advice for what can be seen recently as a corrupt administration since you left it?
What a setup. Look, I wish them well. I wish them, the players, and especially the player leadership, every tool, everything that they need to learn in order to take this union to the next level in light of what will be a war coming from the National Football League. I've been through, 12 of them with the league. I understand the owners very well, understand the economics of the league very well, certainly know media very well and what is on the horizon for them. But the good news about 2 10-year deals is we have just seen an astronomical increase in NFL revenue over the last few years. And that's been great for the players because they get half of it. And that's fantastic. But I do know the owners very well. 20 years of adding $1 billion of revenue to the National Football League every year, with a prospect of $1 billion or more being added to revenue every year, they only think about one thing. Why are we giving them $500 million? And I know that is the way they think. Normal people, you and I, would say, well, wait a minute, there's plenty of money to go around. Sports, athletes and owners should figure out a common place to live. I know the owners better than anyone else in the world.
Are they greedy assholes?
Let's see. How big is the A on asshole?
All the letters are capitalized.
Yeah, look, it's just the way that they think about the world. It's not so much that they are constantly thinking about how they make more money. They constantly think about how much money there is to have. The whole pool. And they just want most of it. And they are utterly indifferent to whatever you do that would justify or warrant a 50% share of revenue.
When you say you know the owners better than anybody does, tell us what you've learned. What have you learned about the owners? 14 years you were in the job, 2 collective bargaining agreements.
Yeah. Look, if you take a look at the National Football League, and I talk about it in my book, Turf Wars, it is the largest concentration of billionaire wealth in the world. So if you want to know about how the billionaire class thinks about working people, you can go back to John Mackey and understand that he literally lost his career fighting for free agency. It took the NFL players almost more than 22 years of litigation to get free agency. 22 years. So when I see the numbers this year, that there was a $5 billion free agency period. $2.5 billion of that $5 billion was fully guaranteed at signing. I'm pretty sure, and this is not to blame all of the players, but I'm pretty sure none of those free agent players woke up that morning and said, hey, man, I should say thanks to John Mackey or Reggie White or Freeman McNeil because I made this happen. The reality is it was 20 years of litigation. If you want to understand the billionaire class, you have to fight for everything. There is nothing that didn't come into that thing that benefited the players that wasn't a fight to the death, just a close contact knife fight to the death. And I think anyone who believes that there is a way to cozy up to them, that if you just know the language that they speak, if you are somehow a business person like them, that these magic words are going to turn these historical people who have made you fight for everything into some sort of cuddly teddy bear that's going to put their arms around him and you go, man, you understand me. No, they will take everything out of your right pocket. They'll take everything out of your left pocket. And then they will charge you for walking into the room.
How fried were you by the end?
Broken. Again, I talk about it a lot in my book. I throw a lot of haymakers, obviously. In the book, I had a lot of people who, well, everybody who deserves them. But I think I tried to be pretty brutally honest about myself. But I think the thing that broke me, going back to that question, is I had gone through 10 years of homicide. I'd gone through 12 years of being a law partner. And then I had the job for almost 15 years. I knew the danger that was around every corner. You may not understand just how many things can go wrong. You may not understand, like I knew going into the job, having represented some of the biggest corporations in the world. If you don't understand just how much power they have, how many levers they can pull, the things that they can do that you would never see coming. I knew all of those things. And doing or pushing through in this job for 15 years, going to bed every night, knowing the 10 or 15 things that this group can do to you, it's hard. It's hard. So I start off my class, and I've taught for the last 12 years.
Taught even while you were doing this job, you were teaching.
I did. Started here at the University of Miami. Have to do it for the U. I did 3 years here, then 2 years at the Yale Law School, and then 2 years at Pepperdine. I start off my class with a frame. If you had unlimited wealth and absolutely no regulatory agency governing anything that you would or could do, what would you do? Anything you want.
DeMaurice, we've talked over the last few days about some erratic behavior from Puka Nacua. We saw how the Antonio Brown thing played out. Tragically, the Marshawn Nealon situation. When you were with the NFLPA, Javon Belcher happened.
What protocols are in place for the players' union? I'm sure teams have their own, NFL security has their own. But when things start unfolding in the public and there is erratic behavior being monitored, what protocols does the NFLPA have to check in on a player and make sure these things don't spiral?
Yeah, I know. Look, I've seen a lot of what's happened, and I always have a rule. I never talk about a particular player, about anything that they're going through or might be going through. And I know you're going to hate my answer. But in 2011, I became convinced, thankfully, from the work of a lot of players, Brandon Marshall, Sean Morey, others, convinced me that we really needed to look at the mental health of NFL players. And what we found is basically the cohort of NFL players, and they're different from the cohort of people who are young men their age. A tremendous percentage of people need mental help. A lot of people seek mental help, and this is the part of the answer that you're not going to like. But we decided within the National Football League Players Association to create an internal system where we could provide and take care of every player in the National Football League anytime, anywhere in the world. We just don't talk about it.
Is it dependent on them wanting the help? Or are there protocols in place that the NFLPA might take it amongst themselves to do something?
Yeah, any player that wants to take that step, or any family member who says that we might need some help, with someone, it was important to me to create an internal system where no player had to turn to the team doctor. And most importantly, no player would have to be worried about getting mental health and then submitting that receipt to the team for reimbursement under their medical plan, because then the team would know. So the system that we have is that if any player needs that help, we have healthcare professionals, the best professionals in the world, and the only person that sees the check is D. Smith.
The name of the book is Turf War. It's the fight for the soul of America's game. Entertain a hypothetical for me. How does the NFL play out differently if in 1994 a collectively bargained salary cap isn't put in?
Players, the salary cap today would be $150 million, $120 million. Maybe that'd be this money that they would spend. The players would be playing 27 games a year. I'm not making this up. And for a league that generated $25 billion in revenue, 75 and 80% of that money will go to the owners.
So you're saying the salary cap is a giant blessing, that it wouldn't be Jerry Jones and owner X fighting over Patrick Mahomes for $1 billion?
No, because here's the only problem. The National Football League is a paradigm of collusion. Paradigm of collusion. No one colludes better and more than the National Football League.
That's a hell of a slogan.
So, you date back, and again, and one of the frustrations, and you asked me why I was burned out, so much of my job at the National Football League, when I was at the Players Association, I always felt that I was a teacher, because, it is very hard to have a level conversation if someone is at a historical and factual deficiency. So you start off this story with a young man named Bill Radovich in 1945. He comes back from the war. World War II took him from football. He comes back to football. He was an all-pro for every year leading up to the time that he left to fight for his country. He comes back. He's a free agent. The Detroit Lions owner says, I want you to resign. And Bill says, my father is dying of cancer in California, and I want to go finish out my career in California with one of the NFL teams in California. The Lions owner says no. And if you don't re-sign, you'll never play for another NFL team for the rest of your life. He doesn't. Bill is a 4-time All-Pro. So the first thing you get your heads around is the salary cap doesn't, the presence of the salary cap in these owners don't care about what's the best talent. They care about how they build the best product. And if that product grows and grows exponentially in a way where we don't have to share money, we will collude and make sure that we don't have to share money. So that's what they did. So this young man in 1945 loses his football career, becomes a Hollywood stuntman, but he sues the National Football League. 1945, takes his case to the Supreme Court in 1955. There's no union. So he supports that case. 1955, he wins 9-0. That the NFL owners colluded against him. So you fast forward from Bill Radovich to John Mackey, then 20 years of litigation to Reggie White, to the time when they locked us out during 2011 for a new collective bargaining agreement, to the point where they locked out Colin Kaepernick, to the point where I file that collusion case on behalf of the quarterbacks, where we now know Judge Droney said that the management council urged teams to not do guaranteed contracts. None of that happens if you don't have Bill Radovich, if you don't have that fight for free agency, and if you don't have that fight for a salary cap.
Folks, you know the place. Everything can turn in a moment at Augusta. One swing, one hole, and the entire leaderboard shifts.
And that's what makes this the perfect week for live betting. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top sportsbook for live betting, has action from the first tee to the final putt, so you can react in real time. And with Same Game Parlay, you can combine finishing positions with player props in one bet. More ways to play, the moments that matter. New sportsbook customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code DAN. That's code DAN to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 and over in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer.
Xfinity Tech Support. How can I help?
I can't get Jurassic Park back online without...
Oh, you just need Xfinity. Plug in your gateway and you're good. All set. Luckily, Xfinity has reliable, self-healing Wi-Fi that keeps you safe from threats. Wow. You can even boost speeds to your most important devices.
Get reliable Wi-Fi at one price for 5 years, guaranteed. Xfinity. Imagine that. Watch Jurassic Park with Xfinity. Restrictions apply. Select plans only.
America leads the world in medicine development. It matters. We get new medicines first, nearly 3 years faster. 5 million Americans go to work because we make medicines here at home. And not relying on other countries keeps us safe. But China is racing to overtake us. Will we let them, or will we choose to stay ahead? When America leads, America cures. Let's tell Washington to keep us in the lead.
Learn how at americacures.com. Paid for by Pharma.
Dan Le Batard.
It's a Judge Cote, sweetie.
Stugotz.
I should go say hello.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
What do you regard as the most offensive to you instance of collusion that stands atop all of the others?
If I had to take the two, obviously it would be the one in 2011 because all the teams locked us out, and a lockout is stereotypical de facto collusion. Other than that, the collusion case that I filed before I left, where you remember it included what I consider to be the most electrifying quarterback in the National Football League in Lamar, and the Ravens place him on an unrestricted tag, and not one team picks up the phone. I mean, and then they had the audacity to take it further than that. Not only did one team pick up the phone to say, we will pay you $1 more, $1 more than is on your restricted tag. For the first time and the only time that I have seen in history, you had NFL coaches and others coming out publicly saying, we don't need a guy like Lamar. Well, I don't know. I've looked at your team. I can see your quarterback. I think you do. But for no team to call him and for teams to actively state that they didn't need him, I found that to be the most offensive.
The MVP of the league.
Come on, give me a break.
As someone who was in the room for years of negotiations with the owners.
Yeah.
Are the owners smart?
Some of them are brilliant. Some of them I would not consider to be smart. And look, I have a high bar for smart.
Yeah, me too.
But let's just say, I said this at a speech. Don't throw anything at me. I made the statement that Roger Goodell was underpaid, and here's why. Mike Brown pays Roger less than $3 million a year to be a billionaire. So as you look around the league, and there are some brilliant owners, there are some where you would say, for that guy to pay as little as $2 million a year to be a billionaire, that guy's got a really good deal.
You heard from Chris Cote there. He has a high standard for smart. He also has been whispering to me while you're talking, my hand still hurts from shaking his.
Great handshake from you. Very impressive.
Well, at 62, you got to keep it in shape, right? I mean, you do it for the kids.
It's all about that grip strength when they're older.
For the kids.
What is your greatest regret in the job?
Looking back, particularly over the last 3 years. Again, I go back to my role as a teacher. And, when I started the job in 2009, team meetings would go an hour and a half long. And I know it was horrible for the players, but heading into that lockout, there was no way that they would be prepared to go into that lockout without understanding the story of Bill Radovich and understanding the story of John Mackey and understanding the story of Freeman McNeil and basically understanding the role of unions in this country. Over the years, I know that I got away from those long team meetings. Looking at the 3 years, I now wish I hadn't backed off. Because if you understand the role and the history of unions in this country, if you understand that everything in the collective bargaining agreement came as the result of a close contact knife fight, I think the way in which I personally backed off of teaching that history had a cost.
How about the knife fights, though? Do you have a regret in something you thought was the right thing in negotiations where you look back now and you're like, I blew that?
Yeah, you always have after actions, right? And collective bargaining agreements are so precarious. I think fans think that you are sitting at a table like us and there's, a big term sheet and the other side is a big term sheet and you're like flipping through the term sheet and you're going to like, let's go to page 74. And then you talk about what's on page 74. It's not like that. A collective bargaining agreement, it would be like all of those term sheets thrown up in the air and they're just suspended. And all of them are pieces, you're pulling them out of the air and you're dealing with one and then you're putting it back up in the air. So given that, I always had a few regrets of maybe I should have pushed a little further in 2011, or maybe I should have pushed.
What are the details? What are the ones that you're thinking of? I don't have any of those term sheets in front of me.
Yeah, so in 2011, for example, look, we're locked out. The league wants 20% of the players' salary back. They want the players to give up their pensions, and they want the players to play 2 extra games for free. And worse, players in 2011 did not have the power to control their own work. So the league had a unilateral right to increase games. The players never got paid more money for every time they increased it by 2 games. So one of the big wins out of 2011 was getting back the right to veto any increase in the season. So that's hanging out there. On the other side of it, we're fighting for retaining more of a share of our share of revenue. Right. And 2011 was, yes, players gave a little bit of money back, but that's the balance, right? And my question is, okay, do I push harder and try to stay out longer? And maybe we win a 0.5 percentage point back. Those things are not so much regrets as you just are playing the game in your head of, if I push too far, do I lose the ability to control our work? Do we go through a lockout? Yes, we had a secret insurance policy, but that ends. So, the only regrets you have, you stay up awake at night and you try to figure out, okay, where I would have pushed and pulled a little bit more. But, I've never been in a trial or a deal where I didn't have that.
When you say all the jobs you've had, is this the hardest one by leaps and bounds, or did you have a harder job?
Homicide was a tough job.
I would imagine.
I would hope that
that was a tough job. But also it's the best job I've ever had in my life. I mean, bar none. I had more fun in that job in a day than I had in 15 years at the NFLPA. That one's hard because, obviously it's, and I know we kind of joke, but it's life or death. And I think that someone who's sitting to my left committed a murder. I know if I don't win this case, there's a murderer coming out on the street. So that's tough. This one was hard because and again, fans and this young man are going to soon find out. You have far less control as the head of the NFL Players Association than you think. Far less control. Agents spend more time with our players than I do. For the first time in history, someone in the second or third round of this draft will earn less money than they got in college because of NIL.
Yeah, that's a big change.
The National Football League is going to redo their media deals, and that is going to give them leverage. So whether it's agents, players, fans, media, the league, this job in 2026 is 10 times more complicated than the job I took in 2009.
Really?
Bar none.
I'm not sure the people who are in charge are equipped for it, and nor do I know what their moralities are. I do know that players are worried about the top of their organization being contaminated by corruption.
It's a tough job. It's a tough job. And the North Star that gets you through the job is to be myopically focused on the interests of the players. And look, I gave up my love of football for that.
Well, I was just going to ask you, what do you think is the fairest criticism of you? Because the one the one you heard most often, because the one I heard most often was he doesn't love football.
Not a football guy. I have a 30-second story. So I sat on the executive committee of the AFL-CIO, and right around 2012, 2013, I grew up a fan in Washington, loved watching the game. I was a terrible football player myself, despite my wrist strength. I think my football coach in high school is still in therapy.
Just because of how bad you were?
Yeah. I mean, he's up to solid food now, so that's the good news.
Time.
Yeah, that was 30 seconds.
Yeah, that was 30 seconds.
Sorry. And does Shaquille Erner Clark Hunt look like the director of a funeral home?
Where's the?
I'm gonna keep getting louder.
Where's the asshole line coming?
Morris, you better answer this question. Yeah. Does Chiefs owner Clark Hunt look like the director of a funeral home that makes candles out of its surplus embalming fluid?
Right here, D. Right here. Look. Oh, it took.
Yes, right. No.
Yeah, show it again.
Yes, Warren.
Good job, Zaz.
Okay, I will say this. I use a photo. There's only one known photo that I know of where all the owners took a photo of each other, I think, in 2018, 2017. And I came to the conclusion that the photo that South Park uses is far better. Far better.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
When you first met Steve Bisciotti, what did you notice first? The tan, the teeth, or the hair?
Oh, clearly the hair. I mean, that's not even close. I mean, are these supposed to be hard ones now? I mean, this is where we're going.
I don't think he got to tell his 30-second story.
Okay, my 30-second story.
It was time.
We'll give you 30 more. Go ahead.
Bisciotti speaks. Why was Steve whistle?
Be careful, Mike.
Yeah, and it sings "Go Ravens Go." So, why I had to stop become a fan of the game. On the executive committee of the AFL-CIO, I was sort of struggling with the fact that I didn't like to watch football anymore. And why? Because every game you see, everything that is just literally lurking behind it. And then I realized that I could only do this job if I loved the players more than the game. Because they use the game to leverage against you. Come on, D, man. We all want 18, 17 games, man. I mean, the game is so good. Why don't you just give the people what they want? The players want it. They want to play football. Why are you taking this from America? And I remember Rich Trumka over dinner turning to me, who, before he became the head of the AFL-CIO, was the union leader for the coal miners. And he said, well, D, when I represented the coal miners, do you think I loved the hole they were crawling into? No. And to this day, I still don't like the game. I'll watch it. But if you love the people who do the work, it's a hard thing to love, the hole. It's a hard thing to love the burning building that a fireman is running into. It's hard to love a dark alley that some police officer, makes a decision to walk into. You love the person who does the work. But it became impossible for me to love the game.
Turf Wars is the name of the book, The Fight for the Soul of America's Game. DeMaurice, appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for the questions. If you have any more about the hair or the whistle, let me know.
Thanks for the handshake.
They whistle, don't they? They do.